All right, so we're here in Lesmurdy with Mr Ron Seaton. Mr Seaton, can you tell us about your background in gardening? How long have you been gardening for?
Since I was about 14 was the first time I exhibited a show.
Wow.
Yep, I've got a trophy in the shed. I still think I've got it. Mr Ron Seaton, under 14, best exhibit Kalamunda show. So
That's amazing.
that started me off. I bred my first flower back in 1956. It was a rose. I grew it from seed, and that started me hybridising all this sort of stuff. So I grew it from seed and it flowered.
Wow.
Had one little single flower on it. And when it flowered, I went and bought myself what was called a brownie box camera and took a photo of it. And I've still got that photo today. That's when I got awarded by the governor, well, that's the governor's wife, for service to the horticultural industry.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1998, I think it was. There was so many people in the state awarded for their service to the horticulture, and I was one of them.
And we're here with Mr Seaton because I met Mr Seaton at the Gosnells Horticultural Society when I was exhibiting sweet peas, which I had no chance against his beautiful specimens that he had. And so he's very kindly today going to teach us exactly how he plants his sweet peas, when to plant them, the soil, how he prepares the soil, and everything we need to know to be as good as him so I can beat him. Is that right, Mr Seaton?
I want you to be my protege. That's what I want.
Okay.
I want someone to take over. I'm too old to keep going and going and going, so.
Well, I don't think they'll be as good as yours, but at least I'll be able to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Mr Seaton, you're going to show us now how you plant your sweet peas. So can you show us what sweet pea seeds actually look like?
Yeah, okay, look, this is some I've cleaned up. I'll put them in my hand.
All right, you got them.
They're just ones I've cleaned up. There's a lot of sweet pea there. There's enough to probably plant a couple of 100 metres of sweet pea area.
How many flowers would you get out of one seed?
Over the season, you'd probably pick up to 100 flowers off one seed. So
Right.
it's just a matter of how long you want to keep them going for.
Okay.
But when I grow them, I grow them for shows, and I grow them to come in at a certain time. So that means I'm picking flowers off that I don't want till they come into flower.
Okay.
But I'll show you that later on in
And
here.
just before we start, when's the best time to plant the sweet peas? Is it time now to get started?
Any time from about Anzac Day. It used to be the day to plant them, but I generally plant mine towards the end of April so I can plant them out about the first week in May into the garden.
Do you plant them into the garden or do you sow in the end of April?
No, I sow end of April into pots.
Okay.
Like I'm going to do now. I use a pot like that size, and this is just a general potting mix, no fertiliser in it whatsoever. You can use clean potting mix, whatever you like. But the seed, you don't put too many in, otherwise you get heaps of them come up. But I just sprinkle them over the top, like that.
So about,
Yeah, I think
that's quite a few in the pot there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because we're going to plant them out and throw half them away. That's just about that amount. That's quite sufficient, and that should be about 15 to 20 seeds in there.
And how many of those 15 to 20 seeds will you keep?
Whatever it takes to do the circle I grow them on.
Okay.
So that's why I always plant more than I have to, because some might germinate and some might not.
And so now you've put them in.
They're in there, they're down that little bit from the top of the pot. And a general rule of thumb with planting seed is you plant the seed, the width of the seed, about twice its depth. So the width of that sweet pea seed, I'll plant it twice that depth with soil. So sprinkle a bit over the top, a bit more than that.
And then you give it a water?
Yep, you give it a watering can, like that, let it soak down and make sure it goes right down. I give it another dose. Now from then on, I don't water them again until they germinate.
What happens if they dry out?
They shouldn't dry out because if the soil or the potting mix is good, it should hold enough moisture. But if you give them too much moisture, the seed will rot and they won't come up. But if you just water them once, it's gone down again, so I'll give them another dose, and that's quite sufficient. Within a week or so, those seeds will be up and then you start watering them again. But until they come up, don't touch them. A lot of people think, oh, I have to water them every day, but you don't. Once the seed gets wet, it will start to germinate and it will come up.
All right, and now some people believe in nicking the seed capsule, the seed coat, or they believe in soaking the seed overnight. What's your opinion on that? Do you find it makes any difference?
I've tried it over the years, makes no difference. I think planting it this way is by far the best way.
So no nicking, no soaking?
No nicking, no soaking. It's getting a soaking now, being planted in that pot, and once it grows, then you're away and you plant them out.
Beautiful. Okay, so then so what did you say, about a week before it starts to germinate?
About a week to 10 days
and then
germinate.
When they have germinated, they look something like this?
Yep. They're about...
so how old are they?
They're about 2 weeks old.
Now when they're at this stage, what do you do?
Well, this is the size now, and as you can see, the same amount, I just tipped them in that pot, and how they've all come up now.
It's about 15 there.
Yeah, probably 15 or 20 in there.
Now, some people say to pinch out the tops while they're still in the pot. Do you do that?
Yes. See, it's got 2 leaves.
One,
two. So 2 leaves.
And you take the top out.
Take the top out, like that. Then they'll shoot from there.
So can I do this one?
Yep.
So 1, 2 leaves, and I take the top out?
Yep.
Just underneath?
Yep. But I do like to plant them out a bit younger than that. So...
Oh, even younger?
Yeah.
See, I wait too late
No, as soon as they germinate up big enough, I like to plant them out then, and then I go around later on and pinch them then. But you can plant them at this stage, but the younger they are, the better. They get less disturbance. But I'll just pull that out now and just show you the root system on them. Stacks of roots, and sweet peas go straight down.
Last year, I left mine in pots in the greenhouse because I thought it was going to be too cold, and they got quite tall before I planted them out.
Yep.
They did all right. So you're saying I don't need to wait that long at all?
No, you can. I even plant them when they first germinate, when they're just through the ground, just poke a hole and plant them straight in the ground.
And they're frost hardy, are they?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't need to worry about a cold spell overnight. They will be good to go.
No, well, we get it
them.
cold up here in the hills. We're always cold, but no, they're no problem. They like the cold, actually, to start off with.
Okay.
But these here have been underneath about 50% shade. They've got too soft. I wouldn't normally have them as soft as that. I would normally grow the sweet pea seed out in full sun, so when it germinates, it doesn't get that real lanky, soft growth.
All right, so can we go and see how you plant them out in the garden?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. So, Mr Seaton, this is where you plant your sweet peas. So you use a cage?
Yeah. It's so simple to grow them on the cage. I put one variety to a cage, and when I collect my own seed, they don't get mixed up. And I find it's easy to use a circle with each variety on it, and when you collect your own seed, because so many people say to you, oh, mine are all gone purple. The only reason they've gone purple because it's the strongest variety I've got, and it's grown across the other variety, and they'll pick the seed off it. Sweet peas do not change colour unless you change it, hybridise them and change it yourself.
Right.
They always come back to the same colour year after year after year.
Unless you cross them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Right.
This is dynamic lifter or equivalent to it, that's all. Now, what I do with that is about a couple of handfuls around like that. That's that one. Then this one is superphosphate. What superphosphate does, it gives you the strength in colour and strength in stem. Not a lot, just enough to go round. That's quite sufficient. Then this is garden lime. Sweet peas don't like acid soil. It's a pH of about 7 you need for growing sweet peas. So by putting this on, you're just going to bring the balance back up in your soil, because I grow year after year in the same area. Sweet peas are very vigorous feeders, and organic material they love. That's why I'm using the pelletized chicken manure, and this is sheep manure. But with this, you can put a fair percentage of this on, because as I say, it puts organics into the soil, and it makes sure the plants have got plenty of stuff to grow on.
And now you dig it in.
Now I dig it in, I just simply turn it like that.
So not too deep, just enough to
just
turn
enough
over
to
the
put in there,
soil.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you ready for the peas?
Yep. Now when I plant these, as you see, there's plenty of roots on them. See, there's the plant. And if you get it too much longer, the roots will start to go bending and they won't grow properly. That's the one we nipped out earlier. And some of these others haven't been nipped out. But to plant them, hole there, not too deep, about there. Another one, see plenty of roots on them. About that far apart. Put it in. That's all we need. I'll come around here and do the rest.
This is how you grow them specifically for showing.
Yep. But you can grow them like this for the garden. Look, it doesn't matter what you're doing with them. If you're going to grow something, you may as well grow it the best you can, because what's the good of growing a second-rate thing just for picking for your house? You'll still get twice as many blooms by a little bit more work, and it will just give you the end result, which is so much better.
Got one, another one.
Yeah, we nipped all them.
All right, so
Get down your hands on these.
I just dig them in.
Yeah, not too much. Yeah, that's it.
And
Not too deep.
Just
yeah.
cover them. Now I don't need to squash them down.
No,
No.
but don't plant them like that.
No.
See,
What?
you pat it like that, the water will run off. Keep them so that see how I've got my fingers down in the hole sort of
Oh
thing?
right. Okay. So,
So the
let
water
me try
can run
again.
down in.
So just place
And try
it
to
in.
get those roots down straight as you can, yeah.
Okay. And then just.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Straight as I can.
See, there's about 15 in there, and that's quite sufficient, because once they flower, they'll absolutely fill that frame up.
Good enough?
Yes. And just simply water them in. And same with the planting the seed. I give them a good watering like that, and hopefully I don't need to give them another water for about 4 or 5 days, so they'll settle themselves down. Give them too much water, they get too dependent on the water at the start.
Right.
Because I want the roots to go down if possible. So
In June, how high will they be?
it should be up to about here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Because we're going into the shorter days, colder months, and sweet peas love water. The wetter the winter, the better we generally have sweet peas.
so every year when I plant them, I start to panic because they haven't grown much over the weeks, and I think, oh no, what have I done wrong? They're not shooting. And then all of a sudden they go.
Yeah, as soon as spring arrives, they take off.
So I shouldn't rip them all out and think I've done something wrong in another month.
No.
It's natural for them to be slow to start.
Yep.
If somebody wants to grow seeds for show, where can they get seeds from?
This is very difficult. I originally bought my seed from South Australia, from a company over there in Gawler. They used to be the best hybridisers in Australia. Now these are what they call Spencer strain. Now Spencer strain, they grow over a shorter period than the English varieties.
Okay.
The English varieties grow over there they plant them in December and they're flowering in September. They're growing them right through a long growing cycle. Where these ones here planted in beginning of May type thing, and the shows are on in October and they're at their peak by then. So it's only a short growing time. So the seed, there's no one growing it anymore. That's the problem.
So last year I entered, and that's where I met Mr Seaton, and I bought a heap of varieties from England, and they didn't flower in time, and luckily I had bought some from Bunnings, and they were just the multiflora ones.
That's right.
And then when I brought them in, I thought I had some good specimens, and I saw them next to Mr Seaton's, and they were just, could not compare with his big voluminous blooms, the bright bolder colours, the longer stems, and so I was at a loss. But they were still nice
Oh, yeah.
for the bouquets. They just didn't stand up to competition.
No, they're not designed for competition.
So if I wanted to start showing in the shows as a complete novice, I wouldn't do too well if I was to get the seeds from Bunnings.
No. The seed you get from Bunnings are they call multiflora, most of them.
Including the seedlings,
Yeah,
punnets?
all the seedlings. And what a multiflora has is approximately 5, 7, 9 flowers to a stem.
Okay.
Right? When it flowers, a perfect sweet pea for a show should have 4 blooms per stem.
Okay.
The buds are no. And the multiflora ones you buy from Bunnings, they have all those buds. So if you were showing them, you're better off nipping those buds off and having just the 4 flowers on it, because that is a set standard by the Horticultural Council on showing sweet peas, and 4 flowers is the optimum, and the spacing and this sort of thing.
So those sound like they would be really good if you wanted heaps of blooms for bouquets in your house.
Yeah.
They sound beautiful. They sound very floriferous and...
Yeah, well, they last a lot longer, the multiflora ones, because they've got more flowers.
Yeah.
But if you look at them next to this style of sweet peas, they just haven't got the size and the flower, and they haven't got this perfection of sitting nicely on the stem.
That's what happened with mine last year. So what do you recommend if somebody out there wants to start showing and they... I mean, I still did well. I still came second.
Oh, yeah.
I still came second and had a good crack with those seeds that I got from the shops and the ones I got online. They didn't stand up to yours, but how can someone show if they want to, and if they don't know you, or should they come to you? Who can they go to get seeds from?
Well, this
Showing
year,
varieties.
I don't think you get many at all, but from next year, there's a young lady called Melissa Carling. She will have the sweet pea seed available, we hope.
Will I?
Yeah.
I guess I will.
And you'll collect all the seed.
I'll start a black market for sweet pea seeds.
Yeah, I'll give you some new seed later on, some new breeding, and I got some lovely colours in them, and I got new seeds coming on. You actually inspired me to grow or hybridise last year, so I've got about 30 odd seedlings.
Oh, wonderful.
So they could be any colour.
So what do you recommend if people this year, even if they don't have the seed, do you think they should get some local seed just from the shops and at least have a practice run for this year?
Oh yes, I'd say buy some from the shops and grow them and come along to the show and talk to someone like you or I, and I'm sure we'll help them out somehow next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently I am.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
Okay.
So you'll have to do the right thing and grow them.
Okay, so thank you for watching our show on growing sweet peas in Ron Seaton's garden. Thank you very much, Mr Seaton.
Thank you for coming on.
That was amazing, and hopefully we'll see you at the shows.
Yeah, thank you.